This is the Bigger Pockets Podcast, show 242.
You're listening to Bigger Pockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Dorkin, host of the Bigger Pockets Podcast, here with my disobedient co-host,
disobedient,
Mr. Brandon Turner.
That's a weird phrase to use. Like, am I like your kid now? Like,
I don't know.
Go to your room.
There, you're like mocking me as I'm doing my intro outro. I was pretty disobedient. That's the wrong word. But what was it?
Do you want me to lean over? You can grab a paddle, spank me. Am I being disobedient?
That was just mean. You're not a nice person sometimes, Brandon.
That's what
like
they say.
For any of you guys who want to know what just went down, go to YouTube and check out the Bigger Pockets channel at youtube.com/BiggerPockets and check out the show.
I have a bigger
pockets.
Speaking of bigger
now
pockets.
You're making fun of how I speak. Wow, it just continues.
I've been working through Parks and Recs, the show Parks and Rec, with it, which is an amazing show, and I'm almost done with it. I'm in the last season, and one of the last episodes. Anyway, there's a scene in there where one of the guys says something about, you argue about everything. You argue about pockets, and she says, well, I think they should be bigger. And I was like, ha, bigger pockets. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway, made me laugh.
That's great.
Okay. So anyway, today's show
how you doing?
I'm doing good, but I'm doing better now. I'm actually pretty pumped up because of today's episode. We just recorded this episode, and it was like, I would say easily one of my top 3 favorite shows we've ever talked to. I don't know. I really got a ton out of today's show.
You're making 200 people feel really bad.
I know. They're all going to be like, well, they don't know. They might be in the top 3 as well. No, but this show, we talk about everything from like using Facebook to get leads for your rental properties to why he owns a limo Hummer, like a 34-foot limo Hummer. It's actually a really, really cool idea. I'm going to start looking for a limo Hummer. And I would say it's one of the funniest shows we've done.
It's great. And I think one of the most important things about this show for me, and I think for any listener, was the idea of why. This is something we continue to talk about, is what is your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you getting into this? How do you do it in a way that helps you build wealth, but also rewards you and makes you feel good and gets you on board? It's great. This is a great show for everybody. So definitely tune in. Well, I guess we're not doing any small talk here, Brandon. So
I'm right in this.
But we do need to get to today's quick tip. You want to take it?
I will take it. All right. Today's quick tip is very, very, very simple. If you are not following us on Facebook, you should go follow us right now. Like, pause the thing right now. Go over to you're on your phone anyway, probably. So go to your phone if you're driving, do this later. But go and follow us and go to facebook.com/BiggerPockets and follow us there. We just post a lot of cool stuff there all the time. In fact, like our channels, Zach runs it and he's awesome. So anyway, follow us there.
Awesome. Very, very good. All right, guys, this is show 242 of the Bigger Pockets Podcast. You can check out the show notes at BiggerPockets.com/242. And I want to ask you guys for a favor. Please, if you like this show, if you love this show, if you're addicted to this show, go on iTunes, leave us a rating and review. Let everybody know how you feel. Those ratings and reviews help us. As of this weekend, I was looking, and we were ranked number 8 in business. Ooh. We were ranked like 147 of all podcasts on iTunes. Fantastic, but we could do better, and we need your help. So leave us a rating and review. And if you don't like us, don't do it. No, be honest. Leave us an honest review. But that'd be really helpful. With that said, let's get to this thing. Today's guest, Josh Randall from, I don't know, I can't even find it on a map, Kentucky, is a successful real estate a successful real estate investor and business owner who's just got a great philosophy on how he does things. Good guy, funny, and has tons of great things to share on today's show. So listen up. Let's bring him on. Josh, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you here.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Brandon. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this should be a lot of fun today, especially since have we ever had a Josh on the show? We must have, but
I think we must
have
maybe
have one.
It'll be confusing.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. So I'm going to be like, Hey, Josh, you're a good-looking guy, and you don't know who I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know.
You could do JR, which
It's
also are my initials.
Yeah, J.R. Dorkin and Josh Randall. Weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna try to minimize the confusion by just having Josh Dorkin not talk much.
I'm just not from Kentucky, so the listeners will figure it out.
Oh yeah, really quick.
Yeah, that'll be obvious. So,
Yeah.
Well, cool.
I'm married to my sister too. You're not married to your sister.
yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. That's a little.
I didn't
a little
say it,
weird,
you said it.
Josh. You've dishonored our name, but
You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. I was going to say it, so you just beat me to the punch. It's great. I love it. All right, man, let's get into this thing. So, Josh, you are an active real estate investor with a growing portfolio. Where did this all get started from? What'd you do before? How did the idea of real estate come up? How'd you get started?
Good question. So I own a printing company. Actually, me and my father own a printing company. My dad started the business in 1984. I became a half owner in 1995. I've been doing it ever since I was 10 years old. I'm 42 now, so 32 years I've been in the printing business. So when I was 31, almost 32, at that point, I had been in the business 20 years. And I met a gentleman named Tim Shiner, who you all did a podcast with. It's actually podcast number 221.
Nice.
Oh, look at you all prepared.
There you go. And so I was over his house. We went to a Cowboys game. I flew to Dallas.
Oh, Cowboys! Come on.
Big Cowboys fan, man. Got it. Go Cowboys.
Broncos.
All right.
Well, we have 5 Super Bowl rings, but anyways. So I was down there, and we were just talking about a retirement plan because, being an entrepreneur, I wasn't heavily invested in the stock market. Didn't have hardly any investments, actually. And I was just running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to grow the business still. And Tim basically gave me some great advice. He said, Josh, 10 years is going to go by, whether you own real estate or not. And you'll never buy anything else that somebody else will pay for. And I thought, you know what? That makes good sense. And he was the guy driving around in the black Lamborghini, so I knew he knew what he was talking about. And so he literally told me, he said, you know what? He said, it's all about setting goals for yourself and rewarding yourself. He said, you can't work enough hours to get wealthy in what you're doing. And he's right. I mean, it's going to take a ton of business hours. So he said, you got to leverage yourself off by buying real estate. He said, what's a car that you like? And I said, man, I'm from near Bowling Green, Kentucky, where the Chevy Corvette's made. Everybody likes Corvettes back home. He said,
I thought you were going to say like a Pinto or something.
I like Pintos too. but the Corvette, so here's what he said. Go back home, try to find a real estate deal. He said, how much money do you need to make to justify buying a new Corvette? And I said, if I could make 20 to 25 grand in one deal, I'd go buy me a new vet. So I did. I came back home, started looking around for a real estate deal, and bought this little mini mall. Ended up making about $40,000 on it. So it was my first deal. And I got on eBay, bought me a brand new Chevy bright yellow Corvette convertible with stick shift. And I bought it to reward myself for doing that. And ever since that day, I realized you can make money in real estate. You just got to start looking, and you got to have a purpose.
I love that.
I love it. So your purpose to start was buy the damn vet, what color was it?
It's bright yellow.
I figured it would be bright yellow.
It
what
is
other color would you?
yellow.
Yep. DB, man. DB. All right. Okay, Josh. So
I could say that, right? On a radio,
yeah, say what you want. This is your show, man. It's all good. All right. So you went and did a real estate deal because you wanted a new Corvette. And by doing so, you proved to yourself that real estate could definitively be a means to an end for you towards not just a vet, but retirement as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So that first deal was a mini mall, right?
That's right.
Which I've never
talk about
never
that
heard
deal.
a guest saying their first deal was a mini mall, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
by
so
that.
what did that look like? Like, describe the mini mall. How'd you find it? What'd you pay? What did you do, and how'd you sell it? Obviously, it sounds like you flipped it. So, what'd you do here?
So at that time, like I said, I was 31 years old. My dad, that was the only time. Ever since then, it's been the mini mall was the only thing I ever went into partnership with somebody on, and that was my dad, right? So we bought it originally for it was $40,000, and we ended up selling it for
$40,000 for the parking lot for the driveway.
Yeah. Now, welcome to small town Central City. The property is not the same as it is everywhere else. As a matter of fact, to go a little different direction real quick, the building that I'm in now is 22,500 square feet. It's my printing company, right?
Yeah.
Gave $240,000 for it. Now, they were asking $340,000. I made them a one-time offer, told them that if basically I'm going to build something if I don't get a good deal on it, and because I had 7 acres, and they took my offer, bought it for $240,000. We put $100,000 in it. The appraisal was $500,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you move this building 30 miles north, and it's $1 million.
Yeah.
Now,
so you're in, as we like to say, podunk.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So you played, and we should talk a little bit about podunk and investing in podunk. In fact, Brandon, I think, has a story he wants to share about investing in podunk, which he was complaining to me about earlier. But it's convenient. We got 2 podunk guys here. But you paid $40,000 for this thing. Like, what did it include? Like, what was the mall?
It was it used to be like an indoor flea market. Okay. So it was sectioned off. And in the very back, it actually had like a room set up for somebody, like living quarters. And it actually had a brick house on the property as well that went with it. That was about 1,200 square feet. It needed a lot of work, but we bought it mainly for the building. And right off the bat, before I sold it, I got online, found wholesale hot tubs, bought about 3 tractor trailer loads full of hot tubs, which was about 45 units, and marked them up $500 each, and sold them all within about 2 months' time.
Wow.
So I actually made $20-something thousand on that deal as well, in addition to selling the property. So while I had it sitting empty, I was selling hot tubs out of it.
So, and what was the hot tub thing designed so that somebody could see what it would look like to have stuff in there, or was it just like, I'm gonna buy some hot tubs and sell some hot tubs to some people?
I just wanted to put something in it that I could sell. Somebody could back up. I'm like, I'm not warranting the hot tubs. You're getting a brand new $6,000 hot tub for $2,500. I'd pay $2,000 for it. So they're saving a lot of money. They'd back up with a trailer. Man, 4 other guys would load it up into the trailer and they drive off.
This is some Kentucky business right here, boy.
Yeah, willing and dealing.
I love it. That's
Hysterical.
awesome.
Hysterical. All right, so you paid $40,000. Did you do any work to the property?
Absolutely nothing. And sold it for $120,000 about 2 or 3 months later.
Wow.
And then how were you able to do that 2 to 3 months later?
It was worth it. You got to understand, there's very little commercial buildings here.
But how'd you get it for $40,000 then if it was worth $100 plus?
It was a guy that had it. It was an older gentleman who had it for years. It sit empty, and basically, I'd say it was going downhill. But I mean, he was just ready to get out from underneath of a lot of different properties that he had. He was actually a retired minister, so he was just looking to get. And honestly, I didn't even have it appraised. I just bought it. We went and just bought it. We knew it was worth more than that. We didn't know how much more than that.
Wow.
Right.
That's cool.
Okay,
That's cool
so,
first deal.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, that's
Yeah.
inspiring. So how did you go from there to, well, let's actually fast forward to the end of your, what have you done total now? And then we'll back up and go through your story. Like, what do you do today? What's your portfolio like?
All right. Well, I work 12, 15 hours a day at my printing business. We have 70 employees. We printed $7 million worth of T-shirts last year. That gives you a kind of volume how much we're going through here. So I'm working my butt off here still, but I enjoy it. But so that tells you how much time I actually have to devote to real estate. And I have 50 houses and 40 apartments. And people tell me all the time, how do you manage that much property? Do you have a property manager? Honestly, my wife, she works up front here in the printing company, and she keeps the books. people turn receipts. So people walk in a lot of times. They pay their rent here, and she keeps up with the money. But for the most part, I always tell people this: compared to having 70 employees, that is real estate is a piece of cake.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I could do that with my eyes closed. It's easy. So I have about 9 guys. That's including a painter, maintenance guy, construction guys. And I give them a work order every morning, and I give it to one guy, and he takes out and takes care of everything that needs to be done. So that's basically where I'm at. And I'm buying about a house every 4 to 6 weeks right now. And being in the small town has its advantages because I'm kind of known as the guy that buys real estate. I tell people up front, look, I don't need it. I'm not living there. I'm your last resort. If you want a good deal, I can write you a check for it. I'll get a title opinion done. As long as there's no liens against it, I can close on a deal in 3 to 4 days.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So by doing that, I mean, I get a lot of good deals. I'm actually in the process of closing on one right now. 5-bedroom, 2-story house. You won't believe it. It's got a garage. It's move-in ready.
$10K.
$25,000.
$25K. Wow.
Yeah, and it'll rent for $650 a month here.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
are you doing marketing? I mean, you got billboards out there and stuff like that, or is it word of mouth? Or
It's all Facebook.
really?
It's all
Facebook.
How so?
I'm telling you, this is funny because we have what's called For Rent in Muhlenberg County, a Facebook page, a group, and there's several groups like that. In this area, we have a lot more renters than homeowners now. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of trended that way. I posted a 4-bedroom house last night on for sale in Muhlenberg County or for rent in Muhlenberg County, and it was rented within an hour.
Wow.
Wow.
So I've been getting calls all day on that.
It's actually it's actually a fascinating thing. Like, we don't have a local Facebook group in my county for
So
rentals.
create a landlord or rental group.
Yeah, Grays Harbor, like where I live, Grays Harbor County Rentals, and invite other landlords.
Mine's Central City Rentals.
Is it? Yeah.
Mine's Central City Rentals.
Yeah.
That's what.
Who runs that group?
I do.
Oh, so you created the group.
I created the group, and what it allowed me to do too is take albums. So I use Tenant Cloud, a cloud-based program. But also before that, what I would do is I'd upload the pictures. So when my guys got done remodeling the house, I'd take pictures. Rather than keep it on my phone or my personal Facebook, I'd upload it to Central City Rentals, and I'd have an album there that I could just easily share when it came open.
Oh, and you let other people in your other landlords in the community also share?
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
Got it. And so how did you actually, I think this is a really clever strategy for finding tenants. I mean, obviously in some markets, you don't have to do that. You got Craigslist and places like that. But in kind of a smaller market, where maybe there's not as many people, how do you get those renters to show up there? How do they find out about this group?
Well, what I do is number one, I've got a ton of friends on my regular Facebook page.
When you look like that, man,
no, trust me.
Keith Urban, man.
Yeah.
Let's sing us a song.
Maybe at the end. But like for rent in Muhlenberg County, I mean, it's got, I think it's like 8,000 members. You got to understand, there's only 30,000 people that live in my county. So in Kentucky, you're from Kentucky when you don't say a town you're from, unless it's Louisville or Lexington. You use counties. So I'm from Muhlenberg County or Ohio.
That's
County
what we do here too, yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah, we say Grays Harbor County. I don't say Aberdeen or Montesano. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, honestly, I post it, and my stuff is gone, I mean, literally, a lot of times in minutes.
Well, what's cool about Facebook is that even if, let's say somebody isn't even part of that group, but somebody, Aunt Betty is part of that group. She sees the listing come up. She knows that her niece is looking for a place. She can just tag that niece.
That's right.
Like, Facebook is so powerful for that stuff, and very few investors use it. So that's very
absolutely cool. And it's real easy for me to do. I don't have to. I get asked all the time. How do you market it? I don't market. Matter of fact, I don't even want my phone number out there. Unfortunately, my phone it rings off the hook. So at 6 o'clock at night, I have to turn it on silent.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So I've got some questions that I want to dive into, but before I do, Brandon, let's hear this small town investing story that you're dealing with.
All right. So
Okay,
maybe you can, resonate with this. I don't know, but you got people right now. So anyway, I've got a plumbing issue. Last night, somebody called and they've got water from when they run their sink in their kitchen, it's running up the bathtub and the toilet, which means there's a clog somewhere. And I know the plumbing's it's been kind of messed up for a while. I need somebody to go under there and just redo that plumbing. I cannot find a plumber with 100 miles of here, period. Like, I just can't. I called like 17 plumbers and like 3 answered their phone and they can't do it. And so like and I didn't tell you this, Josh, I just got a text, other Dorkin, but I just got a text here like 5 minutes ago from my assistant who said, I got a guy that will do it for $1,000. Like he'll do it for $1,000. He'll come for a couple hours of work to clear this thing. And I'm like, This is like the hard part about living in Podunk is that sometimes it's just impossible to find people at a reasonable time. Like by law, I have to within 24 hours get their water working again. And I can't do it. Like I'm really struggling.
It's tough.
Yeah. So how do you overcome that?
It's funny you said that because I just dealt with the same thing this past weekend. I promise you.
Yeah.
And I posted on Facebook. I said, if somebody will get me a good plumber, I will give him 90 rental houses, all the work he wants.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I've got a few plumbers here. One, just got arrested for meth.
Oh, wow.
So I can't use him anymore.
Whoopsie.
But I guess there's more money in meth than plumbing.
So.
But I'll tell you something else I would probably suggest is I had a maintenance man that at one time that we ended up unfortunately had to part ways about a year ago. But I was going to pay for him to get his license. And by doing that, it's going to have him sign a contract saying he would still work for me for a certain amount of time. So, and that way he can make very good money as a licensed plumber here.
Yeah. Interesting.
Cool. Well, good story. And there you go, guys. The harrowing truth about investing in the middle of nowhere.
Well, so if I could expand real quick on this, I hear people from time to time who live in big cities like, Seattle or San Francisco or Denver, and they want to invest.
We have the same problem.
Well, you can't find a plumber.
You can't find a good one because there's like thousands of houses being constructed. Everybody's working on their property, and you can't find contractors to save your life.
So I do like that idea
because there's
Facebook
too much
thing.
growth.
Yeah, I think the Facebook thing is interesting. But here's people. Where I was going to go is like people go and buy in Podunk. They go and buy in Grays Harbor where I live. They go and buy in your town because they're like, oh, $25,000 for a house. I'll buy that. But then what happens, and I see this, people come, like investors from out of the area come into my town. They buy something because they think it's cheap. And a year later, it's sitting there vacant and empty and falling apart. And eventually they just lose it in foreclosure or they just let it go back for not paying taxes because they can't handle it.
Tim that did the podcast with you guys, right? Yep. He came up here. He actually had a business in Central City, a promotional company that we did all of his work. And that's how I met Tim. So he started buying apartments and houses, and he's 750 miles away in Dallas. Yep. So the problem that he had was people stealing from him. The property managers, literally, they were taking the laundry money, the money from the Coke machines. Yep. And they don't really care if all the units are full. I mean, let's face it. I mean, even though he would bonus them, they still didn't care. It wasn't worth the hassle for them. It was amazing how I would talk to him, and I would say, how do you have 24 units open when I'm completely full and I have people beating down my doors? Well, that's the difference between him and I. So he recently just sold off his property here. Now, my rule of thumb is, people ask me, do I have property 20, 30 miles away? My rule of thumb is if I cannot drive by that property with ease on my way home, I don't want it.
Yeah.
It's my rule of thumb. And it's really worked for me.
And a lot of people buy into that. And I think especially for new investors, it's a good strategy. It keeps it close. It makes sure, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It could be whatever, works for you. But, we used to talk about this a lot on the show back in the first, 100 shows. I don't think we've really brought it up, but yeah, I mean, investing closer to home makes sense, right? It's easy to roll by. It's easy to see. It's easy to stay on top of. If you have a property manager, to keep on top of them. If you're managing it yourself, then you can know what's going on. So that's
you got to understand. My printing company is where I make the bulk of my living. Yeah. Right. So I don't want, if I was in real estate all the time, I would be buying property in Nashville, Bowling Green. I mean, there's stuff appreciating there like crazy.
Yeah.
That is the downside here is there's no appreciation. But we do cash flow like crazy.
All right, Tim. Josh.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Tim because of you. So what's the strategy then? Why REI? I mean, you talked about it initially as a means to buy that car, and you're saying obviously that you've got this business that is what provides you the bulk of your income. Yeah. Why are you in the game, and where are you going with it? Why are you trying to make more money with it than your business? Are you trying to get out of your business, or you just it's another stream?
All right. So there's a couple objectives I'm trying to meet here. Number one is I want to be able to retire at the age of 48. When I started buying property back when I was 31, when I hit around 33, 34, I'm like, all right, I've got to have a go just to go and buy a house here and there. Really didn't. I mean, it wasn't appeasing other than just appealing other than just going for the sake of buying property and remodeling it for the fun of it. So my goal became I want to be able to sustain a certain lifestyle at the age of 48 and to be able to start backing out of my printing company at some point, right? My dad, he's 62 years old, still doing it, and I don't want to be in that position. So I'm 42 now. I'll be 43 in December. So I started financing my properties when I was like 34 and 35 to the age of 48.
Really?
So that gave me an end goal. And also, I travel a lot. I have 4 kids. I'm going to Vegas this weekend. We just got back from a 3rd cruise this year. And that's not bragging. It's just telling people, there's a lot of people that can't afford to travel that much. But I'm your ordinary guy. And I used to not be able to travel that much. But I'll give you a good example, how it allows me to travel. So I bought a house that had a 24 by 30 garage on it. It was 2-bedroom upstairs, full-size basement that we're finishing. And it also had a 30 by 80 building that was built in the year 2000. So 2,400 square foot building that we're turning into a 3-bedroom house. Mm-hmm. So I bought all that, you won't believe it, for the same number, $25,000.
Wow.
Now, after fixing it, what I always try to tell people, my friends that want to get into this business, is I get a line of credit. And so what I do is I'll pay for that house up front, that line of credit, for $25,000. The cruise that me and my family took was $8,200. So I pay for that out of that line of credit. So when it's all said and done, I'll refinance that property. I'll have roughly around $45,000 in it. The appraisal is going to come back easily $75,000 to $80,000.
That's awesome.
So that $8,200 for that cruise did not come out of my pocket. That person out on that rental property just paid for my vacation.
I've actually done that a number of times as well. It's like the burst strategy, and you just take out a little bit more for doing a trip or going somewhere and having fun, like living life now versus, waiting till you're too old. Absolutely. And could I pay for that from a printing business? Yes, I could. But why? Yeah.
Why do I want to do it? I can at any time take that $8,000 and go pay it down on that mortgage if I wanted to. Yeah. But this keeps my wife happy. So every time I go to her and I say, hey, I just bought 2 more houses, rather than hear her
She's complain. Like, vacation.
Yeah, it's like a vacation, baby.
I think Tim talked about that same concept too. I think it was somebody recently, but I think it was Tim Shiner was saying,
it's rewarding.
Yeah, reward yourself every time you buy a property, and then your spouse is totally on board. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that property is going to be paid off when I'm 48.
Yeah. So you're 42 right now. So now you're getting 6-year notes on your property when you're buying. Are you making it so everything ends?
Well, let me say this. All right. And I want to be totally upfront. That strategy was perfectly fine up to I was, a couple of years ago. But now I still have a lot of properties that's starting to be paid off, and notes, mortgages being paid off starting next year. Yeah. So these things are going to start snowballing starting next year. And I still have about 12 of those houses that are just paid for that I bought, I didn't finance. So the money's going to start rolling in. And I can still pay everything off at 48, even though a couple of the properties in the past year I financed for 10 years. I can still take the money that's being paid off and pay those off in plenty of time before I'm 48. But I don't have to. It's just. But now when I'm going to have close to $50,000 a month coming in at 48 right now.
You can't live on. You can't live on that in Kentucky. Come on, you need to double that.
Yeah. Right.
No.
So I mean, that's
he's going to be buying a Corvette a week.
Yeah.
You can just line the block up with yellow Corvettes, man. Don't let anyone else park.
So,
but I that's the way I'm going to retire. And I don't know. I'll probably pull money back out at 48 and refinance.
What I love about this is and it's funny that you talk about the strategy, because just the last couple of weeks, my wife and I have been talking a lot about this, but we're kind of shifting a little bit of how we think about real estate in terms of, before it was leverage everything as much as possible, get the best deal, get the cash flow up, because I needed that cash flow to be able to have financial freedom. Well, I got the financial freedom. I have the income. I'm not worried about any of that anymore. Now we're thinking, what does retirement look like? And I'm 32 now. So I'm like, well, what does that look like in terms of not having to deal with finding a plumber at 9:00 at night and deal with all that, and what I came up with this idea, and again, this is not like I made this up or anything, but it was an interesting way of looking at it. Let's just say I had 20 houses that were each giving me $200 a month in cash flow, right? So it's not a ton of money, but it's $4,000 a month, right? 20 houses give you $200 a month in cash flow. But if each of those houses, the mortgage payment was roughly $400 a month, it means that as soon as they're paid off, my income triples overnight, which means a person could have 20 houses making $200 a month, and that's $4,000 a month for a long time. Especially if you put those on a 15-year mortgage. But as soon as they're paid off, your income triples. So you're living good now, and you're living even better later, and that's why we love real estate.
Absolutely.
Right? It's amazing.
Well, even if I love looking at a house that I could buy for $30,000 and rent for $500 a month. So every $30,000 that I make through my printing company or through other means, it's another $500 a month for a long time in my life.
Yep.
So that's why being in real estate has made it so hard for me to go buy a vehicle or to spend a ton of money, because I'm thinking I want to go buy a house. I did just buy a new truck. Finally, I drove the same truck for 17 years. But something else that real estate allowed me to do, the rich dad, poor dad theory. My wife wanted the new Camaro.
Yep.
We've been married 23 years, so I wanted to get her one for our 21st anniversary. So I'm in Vegas. I found a brand new Camaro for $28,000. Call the banker. I'm like, I'm going to buy this car. And he's like, no problem, Josh. I'll go and start getting it set up on payments, right? I told my brother, he was with me in Vegas, I went, now when I get home, I'm going to go buy me a $30,000 house, let it make the car payment. So at the end of the 5 years, that Camaro that's only worth $8,000 is still, I lost money on it, but I still have the house bringing in $500 a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you make an asset pay for your liability. Yep.
Every time.
Love that.
Every time.
So here's a question I have. This works great for you, right? You get to live in the glowing metropolis of, what the nowhere.
Did you just say the F word? Yeah.
I think I just got beeped there. But you get to live in Sunnyville nowhere, and buy houses for $20,000 a house, which is amazing. That cash flow, $300-400 a month. I mean, that's amazing. Most, in lots of parts of the country, people can't find that. And obviously we tell people, within 2 hours of any major city, you generally can start to find stuff. 2-hour drive. But what would you say to somebody who says, wow, I love this. I really man, I can't live there. I can't do it. Right.
Yeah.
But
you can always be like Tim Shiner, who gets 20% a year in appreciation.
Yeah.
Which is another way to make money.
But there's no guarantee of that, right? I mean,
that's true. That's right.
Well, there's no guarantee of anything, but obviously cash flow is a lot safer than betting on appreciation. So
that's right.
What advice would you give to that person other than come on down?
Well, all right. In this small town, that is a great point because there's less risk. A house that you buy for $35,000, it's never going to be worth less than $35,000. I don't care what happens to the housing market.
Unless you're in Detroit, but yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean,
10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Excluding Detroit. and places
and
like
a
that.
few other cities. Yeah, yeah.
That I would not live anyways. No offense. That's not me. I like small towns. So, so you got back. Oh, so let me tell you something else. So these people that have their houses, I paid off my house in Kentucky now, which is 4,800 square foot that I bought 13 years ago for $105,000. And of course, I put some money into it, and so it's really I got it set the way I like. Looks like a miniature Panama City beach in the backyard. But so I paid it off. My wife, she's like, "Man, I'm so glad we don't have that payment." And I'm like, "Honey, I hate to tell you this, but I've already talked to somebody. I'm refinancing it, and so I pulled out $200,000 and went and bought 5 more rental houses with it. Now, it's all in what you want. I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of equity in their house where they live, and they think a house is paid off, or I've got a $800,000 house I only owe $200,000 on. To me, if you're not using that equity, it's useless. So, because you always have to have a place to live.
Yeah.
Right. So I went and pulled out $200,000. So my payments on my house now is $895 a month. But buying those rental property, they bring in $2,650 a month. So just by refinancing my own house, I'm making an additional $1,700, $1,800 a month.
Yeah.
And so I think if people have houses, no matter where you live, using equity in your house, I really don't have all the answers.
No, of course not.
You know, from the big city type stuff. It's just not. It's not me. I've had people give me advice. There's a doctor local here that who buys a lot of property in Nashville. Depreciation is going up like crazy there right now. But it's just not for me. I mean, I'm trying to grow my printing company and still set up for retirement in Central City.
So that's the goal. That's what you're shooting for is retirement and continue running your printing business because you like it and it's a good income, and buy yourself a cruise, once every 2 weeks and a car, once a month. It's great. I love it.
Well, I don't buy cars that often. Actually, not very often at all. I hate buying them.
I got you. No, I'm giving you a hard time. All right, Brandon.
Yeah. So before we go back, I mean, we got to move on to the fire round here in a little bit, but I want to go back to a strategy you talked about earlier about finding deals. You said you find deals. Did you say you find them via Facebook as well?
Sometimes, but typically, I'm up on Saturday mornings. I devote that time. If I don't have something really pressing at my office here, I devote Saturday to rental property.
Okay.
I'll drive around, look for sale by owner signs, just anything that I do. And I'll go around, check out my property, do drive-bys. If I see some things I want to change, I take pictures of my phone. I text it to my maintenance guy. But by doing that, I'm able to find a lot of deals.
That's awesome.
And
so just driving around,
looking for properties
and I make obnoxious offers.
Okay, let's talk about that. So you drive, you find properties that don't look like they're doing well, or are you just doing ones with the for sale by owner signs?
Not always. I'll give you another example. So there's this brick house sitting on the corner lot. I really liked it, and I drive by it almost every day. And I thought, I'm going to stop in and talk to the owner and tell them if they ever want to sell it, I want to buy it. I want to put an offer in at least. So I just knock on the door. Guy comes to the door, and I said, hey, man, I'm Josh Randall on this printing company over here, but I also buy real estate. If you ever want to sell, I'd like to put an offer. He goes, you know what? I think I wouldn't mind entertaining an offer. The house, the appraisal on it was $125,000, offering $75,000, and he took it. We shook hands right then. Mm-hmm. Right then. And so I go back to the office. I'm like, well, I just bought another house, and it's a great deal. I mean, I love this house. The guy in there hears me talking about it, and he's like, man, I need another house. I wouldn't mind a house. I need a 4-bedroom. I ended up didn't sign a purchase agreement or nothing. I just shook hands with this guy. I let him buy it, and now the deal, I got $10,000 in cash and a pontoon just by knocking on the guy's door and letting somebody else buy it.
So you wholesaled the deal.
I wholesaled the deal really quick.
That's awesome.
And for those of us who don't know what a pontoon, are you talking about a pontoon boat?
Yes. Absolutely. Pontoon boat.
Pontoon.
And
Country song.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I don't know.
I gutted that pontoon and actually decaled it. It looks just like my Corvette. It's bright yellow now.
Really?
Corvette decals on it. It's got Corvette.
Do you have photos of the car and the pontoon?
Yeah, that is obnoxious, and I have to see
Okay,
that.
you should shoot me a picture. We'll put it up in the show notes at biggerpockets.com / what show number 242. So biggerpockets.com / show 242, and if we can get some pictures, I'll put them up on the site.
Got it.
That'd be fun to see.
Just don't do what they're doing in Ozark, man. Don't cut the holes in those pontoons to hide bad things.
Is that what they did in Ozark? All right, I'm gonna watch that show. I hear it's good.
Yeah, you got to watch the show. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
All right. Well, that's awesome. So what are you looking for in a house? Like what kind of metrics are you looking for? Obviously, you want some kind of cash flow, since you're not focused on appreciation. So what kinds of houses are you buying, and what are the metrics?
I love making houses 3-bedroom that are not 3 bedrooms.
Oh, me too. I love
possible.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Love that.
I love buying 2-level homes and make them in duplexes. That's my favorite thing. I bought a house for $32,000 about 8 years ago. It's one of my first properties, right? First dozen houses, and I had $32,000 in it. I was renting it for $575 a month, I think it was, and I went in for a couple $1,000. Was able to make it 2 different units, 1 bedroom upstairs, 2 bedroom down. But I pay the utilities, right? So now the 1 bedroom brings in $550. The 2 bedrooms brings in $575. So I'm bringing in $1,100. I'm out about $300 a month in utilities. So that's $800 versus $550.
Yep. That's awesome.
And just by
And what are you all in on construction on that and purchase?
literally, there was a kitchen already downstairs.
Yeah.
So literally, I put new flooring, sealed off the doorways, the stairway going up, made them a closet, and poured a driveway around back, and that was pretty much it.
That's awesome.
So $3 or $4 grand.
So you mentioned I love that a lot. I love looking for ways to find hidden potential. Like that's what it's about, right? Is you find hidden potential.
Right.
So if you can't find a good deal, oftentimes creativity can let you make a good deal. It's like you mentioned the 2 bedroom to 3 bedroom thing. What I always look for, and this is just a tip for everybody, like look for a 2 bedroom house that has over 1,000 square feet. Because almost if you have 1,000 square foot house and it's only 2 bedrooms, there's almost always a way to put in another bedroom. If you, I found one the other day, a 1,400 square foot house with 2 bedrooms. And so I knew just by looking at that, like scrolling through realtor.com, and I saw the listing, I go, there's hidden potential right now. So I scroll in there and I look, and sure enough, there was a garage that somebody converted to a den. Nice. Right? And they were even using it as a bedroom, which means as a rental property, this is a 3-bedroom house that rents in my area for $875 versus a 2-bedroom, which rents for $575. I mean, that's a massive difference, which turned it from a mediocre deal, probably not a deal, to an amazing deal just by that.
Right.
So.
Well, I started out in the rental business putting cheap laminate down. I'm talking about years ago, right? You're going to, at that time, it was Lowe's buying 79-cent laminate or cheap carpet. I don't do that anymore. I put really good flooring down that is the vinyl, water resistant.
Yep, same here. The interlock, like the click lock or whatever. Yeah. Yep. I use that too.
Absolutely. So I'm going back now. What I find myself doing is as these properties are, coming empty, the ones that I bought 10 years ago, I'm going to and doing some updating. Like I took one house for $450, updated it, put new flooring, just done some renovation of things that I've learned, like spraying knockdown on the walls. If you got paneling, you could seal the lines up and spray knock where it looks like a condo, Florida condo. Yep.
Hey, by the way, just clarify what that is.
Knockdown?
Knockdown. They put sheetrock mud in a hopper and they spray it on, like texture on a ceiling. Then they come back with a trowel and they knock the sharp edges off. So it looks like a stucco, like you would see in a condominium, and like if you went to Panama City Beach or something like that.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Yeah. I went out to, where was it? I think I was hanging out with Jay Scott over on the East Coast at one point a couple of years ago, and we were talking about how like they don't use any texture. I think that was where it was. They don't use any texture on their walls at all, and that was it was a weird thing to use texture. But where I'm from, and like everything gets textured. I mean, the wall behind me is textured with you don't have smooth walls. That's weird. But other parts of the country are different.
Yeah. Now, I do have some things got smooth walls, smooth ceilings, but those, I'm talking about these older houses, where you don't want to go in and if you have to rip all the paneling off, if it's good and tight, we can spray knockdown on it. I mean, a whole house in a half a day.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing is I'm going back and just facelifting those houses that were bringing in $450 a month. Now I'm getting $650 a month out of them for a few $1,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And,
that's great.
That's very cool.
That's great. That's great. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, yeah, I think this is great. Go ahead. You've got.
I got a
one.
question.
Obviously, you're ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
do it.
I want to.
You're sure?
Yeah, I want to know this.
Make moves
All right.
right now. Spit it out, buddy.
This is a question that I'm going to help you with, Josh Dorkin here.
Oh wow.
All right.
Josh Dorkin.
And Josh Randall's going to help
me.
Josh Dorkin here, and myself.
This is very exciting.
All right, you have 70 employees.
70.
Yeah.
Josh has 30, 25, 30, somewhere in there, right? Josh Dorkin. But Josh Randall's got 70 employees. You also have 50 houses, 40 rental units, and then you travel frequently. Now, most business owners can't leave their business. Now, Josh Dorkin here did just leave for 9 months and go. No, okay, it was like 3 weeks, but whatever.
Wow.
Went around the country. But
Wow.
how do you do that? How do you manage all this stuff? How do you get the right people in place? Sort of do you have any tips, advice on that?
That is the key. So it took me a lot of people and that 70 employees doesn't count the 8 or 9 that I keep in the rental business too. So I finally found a guy, and I pay him pretty good money, who's the head of the construction crew. So they basically work for him. I don't want to have to go to each one of them and give them marching orders every day. I give it to one guy. And by the way, this tenant cloud that I'm using, you could give them an iPad that when there's maintenance issues, you could just drop it into your software so they know what needs to be done. So I'm not constantly answering the phone for toilet leaks and all that good stuff, right? So he takes care of all that. In the screen printing world, it takes my biggest thing was I was my own bottleneck in the company. In 2000, I was a graphic designer for 12 years. I did all the artwork. Then finally I realized I need to hire more graphic designers. Now I got 6.
Wow.
So, and then I realized I was a salesperson bottleneck. So what I started doing is we started putting supervisors in place over each department. So now, rather than one person trying to run everything, you got little business owners, supervisors running their own department and make sure it's running good. And I take care of it.
Let me ask you a question, because you use really interesting words there, and I've never heard anyone else say that. You called your supervisors business owners. Explain that. Are you compensating them as business owners? Are you how exactly do you treat them as business owners, or did that just kind of slip out wrong?
Well, honestly, I pay the printing supervisor, right? We're able to pay more. Every time we add equipment, he's able to make more money. So rather than going, oh my gosh, he added another automatic printing press, and now we got to hire another person to run it, a person to cash the shirts and box them and all that. So when you give him more on his salary every time you add a piece of equipment, so they have some stake in the game, right? Salespeople, they're compensated by salary, commission, and bonuses. The sales manager is bonused on the previous year. Whatever our sales go up this year, over that last year, he gets bonused on.
Yeah.
So and honestly, they got it better than I do.
Yeah. I know about that from time to time.
How do you deal with the fact?
Brandon Turner.
You right there, Josh?
Well, sorry. There's something going on here.
So how do you deal?
I feel better now.
How do you deal with the fact that you've got commission people getting bonuses and stuff, and then you've also got admins who are not commission based, and you got probably HR people, and you got all these people. How do you deal with them getting mad?
Not everybody's the same person. Not everybody's the same. You know what? There's something to be said for those people that could come in at 7 in the morning and leave at 3:30 and not have to answer their phone anymore.
Yep.
They'd rather get paid more per hour, get their health care paid, get their vacation time and go home. I mean, there is something to be said for that.
Sure.
Then there's people that are, salespeople, they don't want that. They want to be able, when they go out to eat at Red Lobster, to also give out a business card and make money.
Yep.
And that's where I'm at.
Yep.
Your line, it appears, is, it's the clock in, clock out guys. Those are the ones who are paid, a salary and fairly, obviously, and those people who the office never closes, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's right.
Those are the guys who are getting a piece of the pie.
That's exactly right. And you know what? If you got a maintenance guy, you pay for his cell phone bill. You give him extra money per week because he's taking those calls for you at night.
Yeah.
You compensate them as well. I give them gas money. I mean, just whatever I have to do. And I'll throw money their way at my own discretion. If we finish a house pretty quick, I bonus them.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
Love it.
Well, cool.
Love it.
Well, let's
move to the fire.
Let's head over to the fire round.
Fire round. It's time for the fire round.
All right, let's get to the fire round questions. These questions come direct out of the BiggerPockets forums, which of course you can go and get to by going to biggerpockets.com/forums. But we're going to fire them right now at Josh Randall. Number 1.
I'm nervous.
You better
really
be.
Nervous.
You better be. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. All right. Let's see. I like this one. Converting from oil to gas furnace. Should I remove the oil tank in the basement? The quote to remove is $700. It's a flip, but it could be a rental if it doesn't sell at the right place. So, should I spend the $700 to remove the oil tank in the basement?
Absolutely. Look long term. The $700 over 7 years is nothing.
All right.
Take it out.
There you go. Cool. All right, next question. While still searching for my first rehab, I received a call from a homeowner via direct mail who's interested in selling. The thing is that it's a manufactured home, basically a mobile home that can't be moved. Taking it over with my partner, I've been told that this type of property, 1, would be hard to get funding for, and 2, is difficult to get comps on the property. I don't know a lot about this part of investing, which is why I'm coming to BiggerPockets for some insight. Would flipping a manufactured home be a good idea for a first flip?
Absolutely. I actually own 2. I try not to buy those because the insurance is higher. It's harder to fix. It's harder to find parts for. The hot water tanks are a different size. So anything I could buy and make money on, I'm going to flip it. I flipped a whole tractor trailer load of. I flipped a tractor trailer load of Corvette tires one time and made $6,000. Just a guy came to me and I bought all he had and just
You're
resold
just a
it.
flipper. You're not a house flipper. You're a flipper. I'll flip anything.
Yeah, well, I just got offered my mobile home. Actually, I paid $36,000 for. I've had it rented it for $550 for the last 3 or 4 years, and somebody just wanted to buy it for $49,500. So I could sell it if I wanted to. Probably won't.
Yeah.
I hate selling.
Why do you hate selling?
Because I'm not in it to sell. I'm just not in it. I look at residual. I just want residual income.
Yep. I love that.
If you give me $10,000, I'm going to blow it on Texas Roadhouse and all the other stuff that I do.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
Brandon.
Next question. This is I picked this question because this is something I'm dealing with a lot lately. When a buyer asks for items on an inspection report to be repaired, do you repair all of them? Do you negotiate which ones you're willing to do, etc.?
Well, I was looking to see what the cost is. I mean, it all depends on how much you're making on the deal, right? If I can go through and fix, so like the house I just rented out last night, the big 4-bedroom. They went through and I said, here's exactly what I told them. I promise it pertains to this. I'm not selling, but I'm renting it. It's a higher priced house. I said, you could go through and nitpick this house.
Yep.
If you nitpick me to death, it's not a brand new house. I'm going to raise the rent. But anything safety related, I'll fix. So locks and windows, loose, posts around doors, front porch, everything like that. I want to fix it. But don't nitpick me over every little thing. I want to raise the rent. So that'd be my answer is if you want me to raise the price, I'll fix everything. There's some things I can go through. Because you know how it is. I send my crew of 8 guys.
Yep.
We can knock out a ton of stuff that the average homeowner thinks is a big deal that I know is not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had last week or 2 weeks ago, I had a deal fall through. We were selling a house and they got the inspection back. And, again, you can find a lot of things in a 100-year-old house. And so the house is 100. Right. I mean, it was in mint condition, in my opinion, and totally remodeled everything. But, man, they wanted, the agent wrote back after the inspection thing, they would like it all fixed. And we said, what do you mean? And they said, well, it's a 70-page, inspection report that was done by the best inspector in town. We want it all fixed. We're like, well, what does that even mean? The roof is 8 years old. Yeah, we want a new roof. Really?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they ended up,
No.
their first-time home buyers, they wanted a perfect brand new house. And I'm like,
Which makes,
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
you
scared, they're
taking
nervous,
their
and-
view. Yeah,
Yep,
they're
I
scared.
get
They don't
it.
know what to look for. But your
like,
answer,
this
it's
is
okay
the
to say
best
no.
looking house in that town. Like, they will not find a
Yeah.
better house. Like, they just will not be homeowners ever
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
mentality.
Right.
It just drives me nuts. But anyway.
And they'll probably, if they don't buy that house and they want a brand new house, they're going to pay 20 or 30 more grand for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rather than buying yours and putting a $4,000 roof on it.
Yep. By the way, the end of that
Or-
story, real quick, is just what's
Is that what a roof costs down in nowhere?
Actually, I just put a roof on a house that's 1,000 square foot, and it cost me labor and all was like $2,800.
nice.
Wow.
Nice.
It was metal roof.
Oh,
you go.
okay.
So I was gonna say the end of that story is that day I told my agent, I was like, screw it. I'm so tired of selling. That was the second time like something similar had happened. I said, screw it. I'm not gonna sell the house. Let's just rent it out. That got my agent like hustling because now he's gonna lose all that commission. So he goes within like 3 hours, he had another buyer that he had been working with, and they just weren't quite ready. They need a month. So we put under contract. They got early occupancy. They're renting it for a month and a half until their loan can go through. And yeah, I might end up losing it. Who knows? Like they might just become renters of mine, but we have a contract. They're going to sign in October and actually close. So who knows?
Awesome.
And
My
awesome.
wife makes a list, and I still don't fix everything in my own house. I'm not fixing it for everybody else.
There you go.
Yeah, you are not alone, my friend. You are not alone. All right, last question. Should we consider letting the tenant stay, or is it better to start with a new?
Oh,
set
sorry,
of
I
tenants?
missed the first half of that question. Basically, they bought a new property. They're closing on a new property, and they've got an inherited tenant. So.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You know, I messed it up. So,
I
inherited tenant. Yeah. So, what experiences do you have with this type of situation? What would you recommend? So
You buy a
do you
house
keep,
that's got a tenant in it,
Yep,
right?
yep.
yeah.
let
Do you
let
keep them,
stay?
or do you put somebody new and train them your way?
The house I'm closing on right now, the 5-bedroom, it has somebody in it. It's their family member that's renting it for $300. So the day I close, I'm going to go ahead and serve an eviction notice.
Why?
And tell them, because I know they're not going to pay $550 or $600. I know that I'll give them the opportunity to, but it's typically I have more problems with people that's staying in a house. If I look around the yard and I see how they're living in it now, and the yard's not mowed and there's crap everywhere, I don't want it in my house. So
Yeah.
I guess it's case by case. I mean, I can't say I would evict everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Got
think
it.
sometimes
Cool.
you can usually tell the way that a tenant has been is the way that they're going to be. That's like a phrase
Yeah.
we use in the book on managing rental properties. Yeah, the way that they've been is the way they'll be, and like people don't change. So
That's
It is hard to get people to change.
yeah, just look
Very
at
hard.
Josh Randall.
Isn't it, Brandon? I've been trying.
I think we
I've
both
been
just
trying.
made the same joke at the same time. You're just more dominant in your yelling.
Well,
so.
I am
That's a
definitively
love-hate relationship.
more
yeah.
dominant.
I love
No,
it.
there's
it's a
there's
something. It's a
there's
something.
absolutely no love between Brandon and I. There's a whole lot.
There's a
of,
little love. There's a little.
Oh,
love
it's
there.
all love, man. Come on, these two guys. Come on.
All right.
All right, it's time, man.
All right.
Time. It's time for the fire. No, the famous four.
Nice job.
I thought it was a
Nice
fire round.
job.
Hold
Way
on,
to
okay.
butcher it, brother. Way to
all
butcher
right,
it.
All right. The famous four. These are the same 4 questions we ask every guest every week, and now we're going to.
Okay, we'll decide to make them the famous 5 because we do ask 5 questions.
We
but,
don't.
you know,
It's 4. Pause.
And then-
1. It's the famous
All right.
4. Right. All right. Number 1.
Deal.
What is your favorite real estate related book?
It's Rich Dad Poor Dad, man. It's life-changing for me.
All
There you
right.
go.
I like it.
I got to land there. And I actually will give copies. Tim Shiner gave me a copy of it. And that's what I do for a lot of other people as well.
Did he read it to you, or was
Yeah,
that
and I had a pacifier in my mouth as he read it to me. And he was bare-chested with baby oil on him.
Yeah, he'll
What's
love
going
that.
through your head, man?
That's weird.
You're crazy.
That's
I love
weird.
it. I love it. That was weird. Okay. Next question. Favorite business book, and who read that to you?
All right, so I'm changing. All right, so here's my favorite business book. It is 50 Things They Did Not Teach You in School by Tim Shiner.
Nice.
And the reason is I am chapter 39. And hang on, I'm going to show you this here.
What
So,
chapter am I?
You're a 2. You're a deuce.
This book's got to go, man.
See that napkin right there?
I do.
That
Looks
napkin
like
that's in the books.
Yeah.
That napkin was something that when I had 33 properties in my mid-30s, Tim Shiner was at Buffalo Wild Wings. He made me sign it, and he said, set a goal for yourself. I said I was going to have 92 properties by the time I was 45, but I was going to have 50 by the time I turned 39. So my 39th birthday, Tim calls me up, and he said, how many do you have? And at that time, I had 70. And he framed it and sent it up to me, and I didn't know it. So he said, congratulations on meeting your goal.
That's awesome.
So that's good friend and mentor right there.
That is.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. I have no idea what the book was, what it's about, but that's okay.
Say it
It's
again.
basically talking about real estate. It's 50 things they did not teach you in school.
All right.
Cool. Awesome.
And it's on Amazon. He donates all the money to a shelter.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Food bank. Yeah.
That's great. Awesome. All right. Next question. What do you do for fun besides like cruising and racing cars and having kids? And I don't know. What else do you do?
Besides playing around with the new drone toy, one thing that I did buy that real estate helped me buy that is, and I'm not being a chotch bag here, but I did buy a 34-foot Hummer limo. Right?
I don't know what you said. Is that something are we supposed to bleep that? I think so.
Chotch. That's a Kentucky term, I think. Maybe.
Never heard that one. Yeah. I think our editor will have bleeped that because I'm guessing it's bad.
I don't
It's not
know.
bad. It's just a term for a guy that flaunts stuff, basically.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
So you're not flaunting, but
yeah.
you bought a 34-foot limo Hummer.
Yeah.
Tell us
And-
about this real quick.
limo Hummer.
Yeah. So I take like my salespeople, and actually there is the company I bought my first limo from was a real estate company that would take potential buyers around and show them their more higher end houses. You know, limos, like the car limo was cheap. I gave $15,000 for it, and people think you're a rock star. It makes them feel like rock stars when they get in it. So that's a great way and a great thing to use in your business. So if I want to send the limo, I have a client that flew into Nashville, and I don't want him renting a car and driving through cornfields and bean fields to get here. You send them the stretch Hummer, they don't even realize it. They just sit back and relax, and they show up in my office.
That's awesome.
And so we live 30, 40 minutes away from, any bigger town. Only 90 miles from Nashville, by the way. But we could jump in the Hummer, talk. So I have a driver who takes us, and we'll go out to eat and take staff out. It's a great tool. We play guitar in it a little bit. We sing. I got a karaoke system, and that's what we do.
Is that what's happening after you pick me up with the private jet? The next purchase?
Absolutely.
It's gonna be yellow as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be bright yellow. I should never told you the color. I should have said white.
Yeah. I can live that one down. All right. Brandon?
All right, last question from me. And the final of the famous four. What do you believe sets apart successful real estate investors from all those who give up, fail, or never get started?
What makes them successful? I think it's that moment. Because everybody, you talk people that say they fail and you have to get back up. I mean, that's easy to say, and I understand that. I just think that once you get the aha moment and you grasp the big picture of not being in debt, not charging $30,000 on your credit card, buying assets instead of liabilities. The biggest problem that I see is these young guys that go and they work in the coal mines here and they're making a ton of money, and they make really money. So what they do? They go buy $60,000 diesel trucks. They go buy them a boat. They take to the river, and they're in debt rather than taking good advice, going and buying assets and setting themselves up in their 20s where they can really play in their late 20s and 30s. But the successful people, I think, don't go into debt. They only go into good debt. Good debt. And they look
There you
at
go.
the big picture.
There you go.
All
Awesome. Josh Randall, where can people find out more about you? How do they reach out? And obviously, you've got a printing company, so let us know about that.
All right. Well, I'm not one that really promotes a lot myself, but you could go to centralscreenprinting.com. I was given advice before I came on here that I need to go ahead and get a web page, so it's going to be joshjourney.com.
JoshJourney.com.
Josh Journey. So I'm going to, Josh's journey was taken.
Oh,
So I'm going to Josh Journey. And all I'm going to do is just kind of show you a timeline. I'm going to put on there when I started buying, and things I've learned along those ways.
Nice. And people can also connect with you over on BiggerPockets, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Hey, by the way, Josh has sent us some swag, and rarely do I do this, but we've been looking for a company to work with to sell BiggerPockets merchandise. Josh sent us some samples of his work, of what he can do, and the quality was really, really good. I was really, really pleased with it. And so, if you're looking for somebody who could do this stuff, I would obviously reach out and have him send you some samples. If it meets your goals, it meets your needs, then work with him. And if not, no harm, no foul. And no, he did not pay me for this. And no, this is not quid pro quo having him on the podcast. I just learned about it this morning after finding out who I'm talking to here. So, yeah, definitely check it out. I wear the hat. I wear the hat all the time, man. I love that hat you sent.
Thank you very much. Hey, and I love what you guys do, BiggerPockets. It really does help a lot of investors, I know.
Yeah. Here's actually a funny story. So I'm in the office. I'm in my office doing my work, and I walk out and I see Scott wearing this hat that looks amazing. That is this awesome golf hat with BiggerPockets on it. And there's a bunch of other swag in the room. And I walk in, I'm like, yo, where'd you get that, man? He's like, Mindy. I talk to Mindy. I'm like, Mindy, she explains what's going on. I go back to Scott. I'm like, dude, I need that hat. Sorry, man. I really need that hat.
I'll send more.
I totally stole the hat from Scott. I feel terrible about it. I definitely need to replace it. But I rock that hat like all the time, in representing BiggerPockets everywhere I go and everything that I do. And so awesome. I'm a terrible boss.
No, you're doing it right. You're playing the cards right. But I'll send more. I'll send you guys more.
Woo! Awesome, man. All right, Josh. Well, listen, man. It was a pleasure having you on the show. I love what you're doing. It sounds great. Lots of luck going forward. And please do send us pictures of all that yellowness, man.
You got it. I appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you, Josh. See you later.
All right, guys. That was Josh Randall. Big thanks to Josh. That was a great show.
That was a fantastic show. I mean, I was like seriously like laughing hysterically. There's points where I turned off my microphone and I was just like that was pretty funny. I'm sure my wife's probably in the other room like, what is he laughing about?
Yeah.
Anyway, great. So yeah, I thought it was a fantastic show. One thing we didn't really spend a lot of time talking about, but it was so like important. He used the word bottleneck. Like in your business, like you are a bottleneck to something right now. Everybody is somewhere. So like I think it's an important thing to ask yourself, what are you bottlenecking in your business? Like what are you stopping progress from happening right now, and how can you get out of that? And I thought that was it just made a big impact on me. I started thinking about, where am I right now that I'm a bottleneck?
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Awesome. Yeah. Great. Well, a great show. Brandon, go find a plumber.
I think I got the guy for $1,000 for a half a day or whatever of the work. It's going to be crazy.
Absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd. Well,
it was a guy that like he's refused years and years of not, he's a licensed plumber, doesn't want to do plumbing anymore. He wants to be an artist, which is fine. He's a cool guy. Yeah. But like, I'm like, dude, I need you. I will give you $1,000. And I think he'll do it. Anyway. Yeah.
I love it. All right, man. Well, good luck with that. And
hey, by the way, we don't usually do this, but do you mind if I give a plug for next week's webinar? Because I'm really excited about it.
I think it's a great idea.
All right, so we've got a lot of newbies listening to this podcast, like people that are new to real estate, only maybe have one deal, maybe have two deals. So I'm gonna actually be hosting a live webinar on BiggerPockets on Wednesday, which is September 7th. If you're listening to this afterwards, I'm sure you can go to BiggerPockets.com/webinar and see what the current one is. But anyway, if you listen to this prior to September 7th, 2017. On that date, I will be doing a live webinar called How a Newbie Can Start Building Wealth through Real Estate. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. So come show up, BiggerPockets.com/webinar, and join up.
Do it.
All right.
Do it. All right. Let's get out of here. I am Josh Dorkin, signing off. And that's Brandon Turner.
You're so sweet.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
It's time for the Random 5. All right, this is time for our Random 6 or 5 or whatever we call this nowadays. Number 1, these are random 6. These are random questions that we ask our guests just to get to know them a little better. Number 1, if you could sit down with your 15-year-old self, what would you tell him or her?
I would say try to leverage yourself quicker. Hire people earlier on. Invest in automated equipment a lot sooner. A lot of times people don't want to invest in their business, and you become your own bottleneck, and it takes you 20 years. And then all of a sudden, once you start growing, you get it, you can really expand fast.
There you go. Nice. All right. What historical figure would you like to see in present day? Like, would you think it would be cool to watch George Washington roam around the streets, or?
Ooh, I am a
get him
Christian
hopping
man.
on social.
I'm a Christian man, so I would like to see the Apostle Paul. I like Paul.
I like
He's
that.
a pretty good guy.
So you want to see what Paul knocks out on his Facebook account every day? I mean, is that
I think the Apostle Paul would probably say, "Hey, quit worrying so much about making money and do other stuff."
Yeah, maybe.
But he did write a lot of the Bible, so he's pretty good.
There you go. I like it. I love it. All right, number 3. What are you currently reading right now?
Oh, you know what? I got it right here.
50 things okay.
I was going to say the book with chapter
Plain to Win.
47 all about me.
Plain to Win by Jerry Jones.
Oh.
Just got it.
Jerry Jones, isn't he the coach of that one horrible team? What was it?
Yeah, he's manager and owner.
Oh, okay.
Hey, he's a billionaire, man, so he knows what he's
he
doing.
knows what he's talking about.
No, people give him grief, but my thing is, if I'm in my 70s and I'm a billionaire, I'll be passing the football if I want to.
Awesome.
All right. So you've got this Hummer, and you like to take people in it and sing karaoke. So how do you rate your karaoke singing ability from 1 to 10?
I only give myself a 6 or 7, 6.5.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty bold. That's pretty bold.
Well, maybe I need to back it up now that you said that to a 4.
Yeah.
I didn't think 6 was bold. So I did sing the other night in Nashville. Got up on stage. The band, if you pay them $20, they would play any song. So I paid them another 20 to let me sing. And I did Bon Jovi.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Which one? Which song?
That would be a song I would sing.
I'll be there for you.
Oh,
Bon
okay.
Jovi.
Okay.
Nice.
I was hoping it was
Awesome.
like Living on a Prayer. That would, that's my
That's
jam.
old school. That's Guitar Hero, though. That's
There you
guitar.
go.
Nice.
Hey, Josh Dorkin, how would you rate your karaoke singing ability?
Yeah,
If I was singing Pearl Jam or Bon Jovi, it would be a 12.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. Yes. Wow.
If I
That's
was
not bold
singing
at all.
anything else, it would be 1.5.
All right. That sounds about right. All right.
I do like country music, though, a lot.
I do
As
too.
well.
That's good for you.
I'm a country music guy. All right.
Man, I'm a small town, man.
I can't stand it.
That's because you're a big city,
like-
You
I
got
like some very, very limited country. It just can't be too twangy or
Yeah,
whiny.
no, me neither. I'm not real twangy type either.
Yeah. All right,
right.
Brandon.
Where is the last place you went on vacation? I think you mentioned Vegas. What were you doing there?
Well, that's this weekend. I'm going to
Okay.
Vegas this weekend.
Where was last place?
Last vacation, we went to Dominican Republic, Grand Turk, and Nassau, Bahamas.
Nice.
Nice.
Went to Atlantis.
What cruise line? Did you take?
Carnival.
Okay. I've done Princess. I've not done Carnival. What'd you do, Josh Dorkin? You went on
I don't remember. I just show up.
That's all right. It's my family's 19th cruise.
Wow.
Yeah, you are cruisers.
But when you have 4 kids, it's actually cheaper, I think, to cruise than it is.
yeah,
go to the place.
I would not disagree.
All right, last question. What is your favorite guilty pleasure?
Ooh, I guess playing cards. I guess some people frown upon gambling, but I love playing Texas Hold'em tournament. And while I was on the cruise, you won't believe this. So I'm playing Texas Hold'em on the table game and hit a royal flush, and for a $10 bet, I won $5,000.
Woo! Look at
Wow.
you, man.
That was
That's
pretty
awesome.
nice.
Well
Yeah,
done.
That's
pretty
great.
nice.
That's great. All right, Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.